Go to the computer. So Nick and I would like to tell you that we called this, but alas, the last 3 days of run-up has surprised everyone. I don't know anybody that got it right. I don't know anybody that got the numbers right this morning. I mean, the closest one was Larry Goldberg, and he was, I think, actually just kind of sort of guessing that he would pick a number higher than anybody else because we did that on my show last night. Anyway, but hey, we're all excited. It's all kinds of fun. So Nicholas Gibbs, in hindsight, tell us what we missed. What happened?
Well, I will say, hindsight, exactly a week ago, I was saying that Tesla's begging to rip out above 200. Um, it happened before I thought it would. I think I said we would touch 200 going into earnings and break out after earnings. So, all right, I was off by about 20 days. But yeah, no, I mean, wow, great day, huh? Great
Yeah,
2 days.
yeah,
Great start to the week.
even counting Friday. Yeah.
Even kind of right, yeah. So expect a down day tomorrow. Is all I would say. But, yeah, it's delivery numbers or better than expected. That's always good to see. Um, I'm interested how all this financing is going to impact on the overall accounting. I'm not sure how they deal with that, so that'll be interesting to learn. I'll be learning on that, but yeah, fantastic 3 days.
All right. So, but we have to think back and what do you really think is going on? I mean, this morning on my show, I was talking about, Elon said this opens a new book. That means new narrative. So you could get from Dan Ives and some others that they're talking about, okay, there is a new narrative. You could get this morning would be because of the numbers, but the numbers were fine and they were better than expected, but a 20-point run up after 2 days of strong run ups. So what do you think? Narrative? Do you think there's other stuff going on? Do you think it could be just a lot of FOMO going into 8-8?
Um, did you watch CNBC today, Randy?
I watched CNBC, at least one of the Wells Fargo, I think, guy was negative.
Okay.
He had a price of 125, I think, was his price target.
So I always have CNBC on in the backgrounds one way or another, right? Today I was driving, so I had it on in the background, but in my office, when I'm working, I always have it on the background. And so I feel like I have a pretty good pulse on what the sentiment is, at least if you consider CNBC a
Right.
sentiment analysis indicator for Wall Street.
Right.
I would tell you sentiment has not changed. Everything they kept saying today was, yeah, Tesla had a little better beat than expectations, but it's still down year over year. Where's the growth? There is no growth. Where's the story in the growth? It just kept that was the whole conversation. It was nonstop like that, and so I don't know. I mean, they're still talking about BYD and yeah, well, GM did this and GM had a 40% year-on-year growth, and it, I don't see the sentiment has changed. I think this is more of it sold off too much, and now people, to your point, funds, whatever, are trying to rush in because it's the second half of the year. They do want to front run a lot of this stuff. I think the numbers today kind of confirm that we have probably bottomed, seen the worst of delivery numbers, the margins, and everything. And so some people are off the sidelines. And I also think there's part of the whole rebalancing that happened recently. So I think it's a lot more of that, more than anything. I don't think sentiments change on Wall Street, the people who supposedly know things.
Right.
I don't think they do. But yeah, so that's my opinion.
All right. Well, I did a little poll, and of course, this would just be people that are on X and that are retail investors. And 40% of them think that we will stall out around 260. 35% say they think we'll get to 300 by 8-8. And the rest think we have to go lower and test 175. What do you think?
Sounds like a nice bell curve. What do I think? Tell you what I think based on my actions, because actions speak louder than words.
Yes, yes.
Yesterday, during all that movement, I sold a 185 put and I sold a 250 call, meaning I think that's kind of where we're going to be. Today, I sold another 195 put and a 265 call. And mainly it's because there's so much action that meant imply volatility ramped up, so I could have a bigger, wider band.
Okay.
So I think we're going to be kind of in that range.
Okay.
I don't think I will make a lot of money on the sold calls. I might even lose some money, you know, a couple $100 probably. I'm hoping, at least I'm hoping that will be the case.
Right.
Because I would love to see us, you know, get into the 240s, 250s, 260s, but I hope it doesn't happen before earnings. In fact, I hope we come down a little bit. It's just I don't think it's healthy for us to keep going up without a pause,
A little
a
pause,
breather.
a little come back. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Because otherwise, it just becomes just this ridiculous, like aggressive up, aggressive down, aggressive up. Right. It's not healthy for the stock. It's more indicative of people who are, you know, just trading it and just in there for the short term, rather than long term people who really believe in it. And that's what you really need to sustain it. You don't need people being in there buying, selling, buy the rumor, sell the news kind of thing. We want real investors, long-term investors, big funds, real money, not just algorithmic trading, which could have been a lot of what happened today.
Yeah. Short covering. Elon even said the shorts are going to get crushed.
Yeah, I saw that recently.
Yeah. So
even Bill Gates isn't safe.
Yeah, even Bill Gates is safe. So Dan Ives says we're raising our price target on Tesla from 275 to 300. He has a new bull case of 400. We believe the Tesla demand story has made a significant turn for the positive heading into the second half. Tesla's AI story could be worth $1 trillion and is the most undervalued AI name in our view. Tesla options investors are also the most bullish in 3 years, I saw in another place. So maybe we are looking at, just because what you heard on CNBC today, that doesn't mean that some people aren't going, look, there's an options play here. And I don't mean an actual options play, but there's I need to be in this stock before we get to 8.8. I maybe I don't need, a bunch, but maybe I need more than if I'm a fund, maybe I need more than I got now, because I don't want to look foolish at the end of the quarter after the 8.8 meeting.
So let me just get something off my chest.
Okay.
Dan Ives, he's a clown. Okay. I have personally lost respect for him when, what was it, maybe 2 months ago, 3 months ago, he was saying Elon's a problem. He doesn't know what Elon's doing, that the board needs to take things more serious. Like, he was literally crapping on Elon and everything they were doing. And now that there's a little bit of good news, he loves to pivot all of a sudden to the other side. I respected Dan Ives for a long time because he believed in not just the story, but like what the company was doing. It seemed like he understand, that things aren't always priced in. Sometimes it takes a while for people to realize or to believe it, whatever. But then it's almost like he capitulated. It's almost like he got burned on something. It seemed like he had a position go against them because he was trying to do some creative stuff. And he just, I don't know, it rubbed me the wrong way. So to be honest, I don't take any credence to anything he says. 275 to 300, like, who cares? Like, that's not telling me anything. Like, there's zero difference that makes. So I don't know. I don't think he's worth his salt, to be frank. So yeah.
Okay. Well, that gets it off your chest. Now tell me how you really feel. Okay.
Yeah.
So AJ, who's maybe the most popular or overall analyst right now on X with regard to Tesla says he has redone his numbers today. After the numbers came in, he redid his earnings estimate. He raised it to 73 cents before the one-time you have to take the one-time hit because of the layoffs. So if you take that out, you're at 64, but without that one-time hit, he's at 73 cents now. And if you take that and kind of figure out for the rest of the year, because he's not giving an annual, you could be looking at $4. And a big part of that is why? It's because of the energy storage.
Yeah. Yeah. The energy storage is a big deal. I think there's still a lot of questions around the energy storage. It's been covered ad nauseum today, but essentially they've dropped prices. We don't know if what we're seeing right now are from old projects that are starting to hit revenue now. We don't know if prices have dropped because of better economics from supply chain, from lithium, batteries, etc., or if it's because supply demand issues. Or competition, right, driving down, because there is other competition.
Right.
But I kind of don't think it's much the competition. I don't know is the answer, but I think it is more so to do with deflation than anything. And the reason I say this is because I don't think a lot of companies are going to choose. Not that there's anything wrong with Chinese battery suppliers. I mean, clearly there's not, or this, but I don't know. There's something about reliability in the Tesla name, and there's just nothing better than.
Could you hold on for just a second? Just hold on just a second. So anyway, on the energy, let me just give you one input that I have on it. And I think nobody else is really thinking this part through, and let me see what you think about it. These projects take years. So you could have a project that is 2, 3, 4 years out. You're at the permitting stage. You've got your permits, but you haven't even broken ground yet. And so you could have a lot of TAM out there. You could have a lot of interest and excitement, but they're barely at the point of putting in their order. And they're saying, okay, we're going to buy it from you. We're figuring you in. You've won the bid, however that works. But the order's not even on the books yet. And they don't want to put it on the books because then that means somebody else can't get it. So because they're still looking at 2025 right now as far as orders. So I think there could be a situation where there's plenty of TAM, plenty of excitement and interest in the product line, but that it takes so long to get the product before the product is even ready to go out to the pad and be installed. That it might be that the overall development of the industry is not there to take all the product that is going to be needed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I think that's spot on.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, I think the long and the short of it is we've got that kind of a problem going on with regard to the timelines in terms of the customer demand. But then on the other side, we've got the bookkeeping issue, but they get so caught up in this bookkeeping issue about when it's going to be on the books. The issue is not when is it going to be on the books. The issue is you've got you've got it. Unless you screw up and somehow you can't get the thing to turn on at some point, which I don't think is going to happen. It's really just a matter of time before all of the bookkeeping takes effect. So this is a big deal. It's a huge amount of money.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And, again, like I said, I was listening to CNBC all day and this wasn't talked about at all.
Yeah, there you go.
Like not once. They spoke about 8.8. They spoke about why Tesla is naive about robotaxis, FSD. They never talked about energy, which is just bewildering.
And rarely the optimist. Rarely the optimist.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I've got a theory I'm going to throw at you tonight. You know how I love to throw theories at you, right? Okay.
Throw it and I'll catch.
Here's my brand new theory. I've been teasing this all day long, which is why I had to have you on tonight. It's because I told people we were going to do this. So, all right. So I'm saying there's a bunch of catalysts coming. I put down a huge list today of 21 catalysts that will happen within the next 18 months. And I said the number one catalyst of all time, the number one, bigger than any other catalyst that I can possibly think of for any company ever, would be a major order for Optimus bots, say on the order of 10,000 bots. So we remember what happened when Hertz said they were going to buy 100,000 vehicles. Now imagine what happens if on this product, which is considered to be, by Elon, by others, to be the biggest deal in the history of the world, and some major company comes and says, we're putting our order in for 10. We've seen it working in the factory. You've shown us what it can do. We don't need to put some of these in and test them. We know it's going to work. We're ordering 10,000.
So end of 2025 at the latest for that.
End of 2025 at the latest. Yeah, I would think even sooner. Let me tell you something, that if I was the owner of a company that potentially was going to use 10,000 bots or 1,000 bots or 10 bots, because I was that guy, I would be on the phone now. I would be emailing. I'd be trying to find the person I need to talk to get in line. I wouldn't be waiting for any announcements. I wouldn't be waiting, no, I would be on the phone because I'm looking at Figure and I'm looking at these other companies and they're starting to deploy. So I'm not going to sit around and wait. I'd be on the phone now.
Yeah. I think that's a very low probability, is what I would say.
I haven't convinced you.
Now, normally I think you and I are on the same page with 𝐓𝐞𝐬𝐿, but I think this is not one that we are aligned on. I think Optimus, I think all these humanoids have a lot more to go. There's a lot of things to figure out still before but before we say anything. I mean, I saw that recent video, whatever, about with Figure and BMW. And just seeing that, like, that's nowhere near operational. You can just tell it's got no dexterity. It moves slow. They literally said, look, it can even fix its mistake, and it's literally taking its hand and doing that. It's like that's not really fixed. That's using your hand as a hammer is all you just did. Like, there's nothing graceful. I can't believe they even put that out there. I was embarrassed for that when I saw it. I was like, this isn't good. Yeah, for something like that, I more so don't think it would be with Tesla right now, because I think Tesla will use all the bots internally for a while. So my timeline would be end of 2025. Maybe Tesla has, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000 humanoids working internally. Through 2026, they'll ramp that up internally. And then maybe 2027, 2028, they start piloting out to certain clients and trying to understand how to quickly teach the bots certain new use cases, new environments, things like that. But I think we'll see tens of thousands in Tesla before we ever see it at a client.
Okay, so I'm going to take you back to 1993.
Okay, 3 years old, got it.
Okay, 1993.
Good year.
1993, there was this thing. It was called the internet. It was being talked about. There was guys like you and me talking about it, not on YouTube, of course, but in other ways. There was articles in all the magazines. This internet thing is coming. Here's what it's going to look like. Here's what it's going to do. And I'm a little company, 100 employees, 5 million in sales, and we're just a little squat company. And my partner and I are learning about it. We're doing everything we can possibly do to make sure that on day one, when this thing becomes available, we're starting to put together a website, and we're going to be one of the first out there with a website. Within a year, we started to create. We spent $100,000 to try to create a website that would have been kind of an Amazon-like thing for the bicycle industry. That was in 96 that we did that. Unfortunately, we got it together, but we had a chicken and egg problem. And so you know how often that happens on the internet. And so we had this chicken and egg problem. We could never solve we didn't have enough money to last long enough. Kind of like PayPal, almost exactly the same kind of, how do you get the customers until you get the, et cetera, et cetera. So you don't think there's anybody else as smart as Randy out there that's needs 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000, can see the use cases. I mean, I can see the use cases in my factory right now. It doesn't take me long. I can go right around the building and go one there, one there, one there, one there. And you don't think there's anybody out there going, I can see the use cases already, just like like the internet.
I don't think it's a use case thing. I think I don't think Elon's going to release this until he feels like it's ready. And I think it's going to take longer. It's going to take longer than us Tesla bulls want. It's going to be faster than what CNBC people think.
Okay, I understand in terms of the release. We could all be, all kinds of different, Larry thinks it'll be middle of next year. I think it'll be sooner. We got all kinds, Elon says the end of next year, he'll start shipping to third parties. So we've got all kinds of different possibilities there. I'm not even talking about the release. I'm talking about a major or 2 or 5 or 10 major companies coming in and saying, look, we know it might not be till 2027. That's fine. We want to be number 1 on the list. We've known you forever. We are friends of your friend. We are, and not only that, we're going to buy 1 million if the 100,000 work out well.
Okay. So you're saying just creating a reservation list, not saying that within 18 months we will ship these. Correct?
It would be an announcement by a Pepsi-Cola or a Amazon or by a Boeing, okay. I don't know, whoever, saying we have a deal with Tesla. We're going to get the first 10,000 of these.
Okay, so I would wager they already have that list. I would wager that list already exists.
Okay.
Yeah.
But announcing it is another thing.
Yeah, announcing it. Yeah, maybe that would be like during the Optimus Day, whatever kind of thing. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I could see that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Okay. All right.
But definitely not delivering them. I don't think they'll be delivering to any third-party customers unless that third party is Tesla, or yeah,
SpaceX.
Yeah, exactly. I don't see that in 2024 or 2025. 2026, I'd be shocked if there's not something happening then.
Yeah. Okay. Good. All right.
But at the same time, we haven't seen any updates lately. So yeah, so it makes it really hard to not saying that like, oh, so what's happening, what's wrong, nothing like that. Just saying it makes it really hard to have like your finger on the pulse of the rate of improvement when you don't have that. Like with FSD, every iteration, like we feel it, like to the point like, all right, like we're there. We're there. But Optimus, it's hard to know, right? So.
All right, and I'm going to use this second to also tease tomorrow morning's show. The after the bell show, I will give my list of the other 21 catalysts that I believe all will have taken place by the end of 2025. And so that'll be tomorrow morning on the show. It's already on Patreon for those who are Patreon members. And if you want to become a Patreon member, you can see it early. Anyway, okay. So let's
tell you what, I'll make an announcement here. In the coming week, I will probably put out my list of milestones to hit, in which every time we hit the milestone, I will be live streaming a video of me having a drink with the Tesla mezcal. So I'm going to have a milestone list, and every time I'll make a new mezcal drink. I'll show you guys what I'm drinking and everything, and we'll be toasting and cheersing and celebrating together.
There you go.
And you know what? I'll throw one in. I'll bring a new guest every time I do it too. Right. So Randy, you're gonna have to be one of them.
So you can look at my 22 tomorrow morning and see if any of those should be on your milestone list. All right.
That's a good idea.
Let's take a look at the economy. Kobeissi is saying This is a summary of Fed Chair Powell's comments today. Number one, the trend of disinflation appears to be resuming. Number two, needs to be more confident before they're going to lower rates. Number three, the Fed doesn't see 2% inflation this year or next year. And number four, budget deficit is very large and unsustainable. And finally, 4% unemployment is still very low. So what do you think?
I think that's actually, who wrote that?
That's that is the Fed chair. That is the summary by 𝐐𝐭𝐳, having listened to the Fed chair's comments today.
Yeah, that's not how I would say some of them.
Oh, okay.
He didn't say that he doesn't see 2% this year or next year. What he said was he still expects us to be in the mid twos this time next year.
I see.
That's what he expects.
Okay.
And that is why he's hesitant about cutting rates or anything, because he wants to see proof that we're moving down to, but right now he thinks that we'll be still in this mid twos next year. And then as far as the unemployment, he did hint that unemployment could go up and that could change kind of the whole paradigm of everything. But what was also interesting, it was very clear he doesn't care about politics anymore with any of this. He's out, he's done, he's in this for his
own legacy. Yeah.
Yeah, not to say it's a bad thing, like that's a good thing,
Yeah.
because that means that really that means that he's trying to do the best thing to make sure inflation doesn't reignite. So that's good, right? Doesn't mean he will succeed in that, but at least we know he doesn't have political motives. At least we know he doesn't have other people's pressure. He's out, right? Like there's no pressure of another term or anything like that. But I will say there was clear tension between him and the ECB Fed chair woman. It was interesting. There was tension there. And the tension, I think, hit a peak whenever the CNBC host moderator asked her, can you guys do another cut if the US continues to hold? And it was interesting because she started laughing, kind of looked at Jerome, and she was like, we're not in the business of telling. Well, she skirted it. But that was an interesting dynamic. So it does seem like other feds around the world are potentially putting pressure on the states. And I think it was apparent there. So.
Okay, interesting. All right, so restaurant, the JOLTS report this morning, restaurant jobs were lower. The number of job openings for restaurant jobs was lower, and leisure. I thought that was really odd going into summer. Then I saw a CNBC thing just a little while ago. Maybe you saw it also, where this guy was talking about the restaurant business, saying that it has been showing really bad, very bad trends since February. Especially, and at all levels, not just fast food, but all the way up to the quality and in the middle. That he says, with some exceptions, the entire restaurant industry seems to be hurting. So he added that up. He says, well, if you take that and you take manufacturing, which is in recession, and you take housing, which is definitely in recession, he's trying to figure out how the economy continues to perk along.
What isn't in a recession?
What do you call it? Services.
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
It literally seems like everything's in a recession other than the Mag 6.
Yes, well, he made the same point, and everybody's been talking about this divergence between the Mag 6 and everything else. But yeah, so I continue you've heard me say it last week. I think maybe I've been saying it for 2 weeks, is 5 to 10% pullback in the Mag 6. They're going to be the ones with the pullback. Maybe they'll get a small pullback that'll be broader, maybe not. And then we will end the year, though, up 5% from wherever the highs are.
Do you think Tesla pulls back from here?
No, well, yes, they may pull back from this really fast run up. You and I just talked about that. I don't expect this to be a straight line. It's rarely, Tesla never does
Well,
that, but it might be a 1 day pullback and then,
yeah.
yeah,
Let me rephrase. Do you
sure.
think we pull back before earnings?
Yes. I think
Okay.
Tesla right now, if I was playing my own money right now and I was day trading, I would be planning for a run to a little pullback, maybe tomorrow, like you just said, especially going into this long, crazy weekend, maybe even a pullback on Friday, but then on Monday next week, depending on what happens with the jobs report and stuff on Friday. But all things being equal, we go to 260 where there's a lot of resistance. Okay, there was it went right through the 220 resistance.
Yeah.
So I don't, it may go right through the 260 also, but I think we hit the resistance at 260, play around a little in the 260, probably, depending on what hints we're getting going into earnings, maybe we make it up to the 300 before earnings. More likely we make it to the 300 before 8.8 as the FOMO really goes crazy.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I definitely think I'm starting to believe less and less in your 5 to 10% pullback.
Okay.
I feel like this whole summer has just been such an active one in the markets. You haven't seen volume die down at all, which is shocking.
Right.
You have, right, the old adage, sell in May, right, and go away.
Didn't
It's
happen.
Yeah, it's like nobody's taking this summer off. So I don't think that's going to change, and we're already into July. So I don't know. I kind of think we're gonna keep trucking along. I mean, hell, let me talk my own book here, but Amazon hits all-time highs today.
Yeah.
It's I feel like they're all cooking right now.
Okay, all right. All right. Let's see. Oh, I missed one of the things he said. He doesn't want, yeah, we talked about, he doesn't want to move too fast to create the risk of inflation returning. Of course, we know that that's how he feels. He's only said it 9,000 times.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, there wasn't anything new other than the fact that he thinks it'll be essentially the same as next year, which hints a lot at the stay and don't do anything. And then, like I said, the tension between the different Fed chairs,
yeah.
those were just that was it. Everything else was literally the same stuff you've heard. You guys didn't miss anything. I watched it all. It was a nothing burger.
Yeah, so just in case there's a few people in the audience that don't understand, the Feds from around the world have to pay attention to the US Fed. Well, they got to pay attention to everybody because it impacts their dollar valuation. It impacts whether they're able to sell bonds or not, what price they can get for their bonds, what kind of interest rate they can charge for bonds. So all those things are impacted by other people's bond markets, and other people's currency markets. So everybody plays this game to not have their own currency go the direction they don't want it to go. And there are times when people want their currency to get stronger. And there's time when people would like their currency to be a little weaker so they can get more exports. So it's not always, everybody doesn't always have the same motives in mind. But at the end of the day, if you are spending more than you're bringing in revenue as a government, then you got to sell bonds. And if your bonds are cheaper, if your bonds are at lower yield than U.S. bonds, it makes it really hard to sell them.
Yeah.
Except for I guess you get some buy your own country. In Japan, I think that's very true because their bonds have been way lower yields for a long, long time. And so there's some nationalistic inclination, I guess, to buy their own bonds. But in general, people are going to look around and see if they can find the best deal out there.
Yeah. Especially here in the States.
Especially here in the States, yes.
Yeah.
All right. So today we had the Tesla up 2140 for the day, closing over 230 at 231.26 and down 15 cents in the after hours which bodes pretty
Wow.
well for tomorrow, actually.
It does. It does actually. Yeah.
And again, there's no resistance, so it's not going to be a technical problem that I know of. Do you know of a technical issue between here and 260?
Uh, no, I get the only thing is normally with these big run-ups, you start to see people kind of just take a little off the table.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. That's
Yeah.
actually what I'm thinking with regard to the overall market. Okay, I'm not looking at people going, "Oh, I need to run away." I'm looking at people saying, "This is getting a little frothy."
Yeah.
Let me take something off the table for a minute. Okay, Dow up 162, NASDAQ up 149, S&P up 33. So, good day all around. All of the Magnificent Seven were up except for NVIDIA, which took a little, continued to take a little bit of a nap, down 163. And the Cathie Woods were mixed. Any other things to report? Any other things you want to talk about in terms of the equity play today?
Not as far as equity.
All right, let's look at the bonds. So we have the bonds. The 10-year is down 0.4 basis point in the after hours at 4.431. So quite a bit, pulled down quite a bit from the 4.5 where it was a part of yesterday. We've got the 2-year is actually up 0.6 basis points in the pre-market, and the 2-month down 0.3 basis point. But the interesting thing is the inversion has been shrinking for 2 or 3 days now. I want to do the math real quick. 4, that is 30. Okay, so we're right about 31 basis points inversion on the 2-year and the 10-year, which is basically the lowest it's been maybe for over a year.
That's crazy.
Well,
And scary.
it's scary, right? Because what does it mean? They say that when the inversion starts shrinking, it's
Yeah.
time for the recession.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And the 2-month is now well under 100. It's around 90. So it's been up about 120 and now it's sitting at 90. Now it was as low as 75 a few weeks ago. So it's not back as low as it has been, but it is shrinking rapidly. So very interesting to me because I want to see what happens. I'm just curious to see. It doesn't matter that much to me, but I'm just curious to see what happens. All right. How about oil? Oil was going up today. So oil's up 34, pretty much the same in Texas Intermediate and Brent. Brent is now 86.63, so starting to run towards 90 again. It is summer. We do expect oil to go up in summer. Gasoline is up some, but there's plenty of supply. I checked on that today. So a little curious as to exactly why oil is up right now is this high, given supply seems to be good.
Yeah, I think it's just anytime there's a hurricane that goes into the Gulf of Mexico, people freak out about rigs shutting down, or drill ships having to move off spot, off location. But it shouldn't be a big deal with this hurricane.
Yeah, and but you do make a really, really good point. I'm gonna go on top of your point there. The Gulf is extremely hot. I don't have to believe in global warming in order to know that the Gulf is very hot. This is the earliest Category 5 ever. So it's probably going to be a pretty significant hurricane season. So that could be, to your point, like long term, wow, at some point we could have an interruption. Yeah, I like it. Yeah. Natural gas up 0.94 in the pre-market, back up to 2.458, but still way off of its recent highs. Gold up 5, still sitting at 2,338. It's really, really been kind of stuck there in the 2.3s. Silver up 0.8, not quite over 30 again. Seems to be playing around that $30 mark. Copper up 0.29, sitting at 4,432. And Bitcoin down 1372 at 61.8. So what's going to happen with Bitcoin?
You have certain people like Tom Lee who think it's going to go to 150 by the end of the year. Or he doesn't think it's going to, he thinks it can. Okay. Just, I guess, to be accurate there. I don't know. It's interesting. It's, I'm an observer as we talk
all right,
every week.
right,
But I don't know. This is the thing. It's not like it's not something that produces something. So
yeah,
I can't speak on like, well, this or that or if this. The only thing I can say is like, I don't know, if more people buy ETFs with Bitcoin, if there's more countries that adopt it, I don't know. Hope that it gains traction.
okay, all right. And we were just talking about money, and the dollar is up here and down there. So it's up against the yen, down against the euro. There seems to be a feeling. I read two headlines within an inch of each other in the system that I use. One headline said the stock market is strong in Europe. The stock markets are strong in Europe, and the euro is strong in Europe because the right wing won over the weekend. And then I saw another headline just right next to it that said both of those things were happening because the left wing and the far left wing had gotten together to fight the right wing. So there you go. I don't know. Do you have a feeling?
Um, Not about that specifically, but if I could do a little tangent,
Sure.
something I don't think is being talked about that much is a lot of the run up we've seen in Tesla and the market, really since last week, have come post Biden Trump debate.
Right.
I don't think that's explains everything. I do think it's at least a 10 to 20% effect. Um, I do think a Trump victory is good for the stock market and for Tesla, contrary to some things he has said. And I think the market's reacting to that. This whole political atmosphere, the fact that Biden didn't drop out this weekend, we'll see if he drops out by July 4th. If he doesn't, then I'm pretty convinced that means he's going to stay in, which I think will be bullish for equities. And it's one of the reasons why I don't think we'll see your 5 to 10% correction, is because I think the markets can be excited about Trump coming back in, reducing regulations, good for the economy.
Right.
So I don't think that's been spoken about enough.
Yeah, and without even being political, we can say historically that last time when Trump won, it was good for the market. And we can say historically that when there's a change of government, it's good for the market. So if we look at history as a guide, both of those would be a positive.
Yeah, I mean, and Kathy Wood said it in an interview with Meet Kevin last week, right? I mean, she even said, you know, she votes based on whoever will be best for the economy, and she believes Trump will be the best for the economy.
Right.
Then you saw that debate, which kind of made it pretty unequivocal, that if it's the two of them, it's going to be Trump. And if she feels that way in what she does, you have to imagine that she's at least she's not unique in that point of view.
Right. Yes, exactly. All right. Well, the equities, we've got the Dow down 34 or 0.09. We've got the S&P down 650 or 0.12, and the NASDAQ down 20 or 0.10. So little change, but slightly down going into the morning. Tomorrow's going to be a very light day. Friday is going to be probably even a lighter day. What do you think the market is likely to, what happens? I never really paid attention to if the market has any kind of a historical tendency on light days.
Well, it can move a lot more, actually. It can move aggressively. Yeah, because there's less volume, right? So any moves can amplify things.
Right.
But I don't know what happens in the market. I think most people are taking tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday off.
Yeah.
So I think the majority of any kind of moves or action are over for this week, of any significance. Tesla specifically, if not financial advice, just because you're asking me, what's going to happen. I don't know. I imagine tomorrow we wake up, market opens, we go green, and then we go red.
Okay.
Is what I imagine. Close at like 225 or something. Nothing significant, but I imagine people be like, yeah, you know what? It's a long weekend. We never know what's
Yeah.
gonna happen, what Elon might tweet. Let's just take them off. You know, we'll come back in next week. And then for a lot of people too, like if they bought in a Tesla on Friday, on Thursday, on Monday, man, they just made a 10%, 20% gain. Like
Yeah.
take your winning. I mean, especially if you're a fund, you know, like take that, lock that in, wait for it to pull back, buy
Yeah.
back in.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they do. So
No, a lot of people were talking on X today that they were green. They haven't been green, you know, they bought in the last 3 years, and they're now green and they're excited. Okay, so anything else you're passionate about or questions you have for me?
um, sure. Let's start off with what I'm passionate about. I've been talking a lot more about what I've been doing with options and stuff.
Yeah,
I just want to express extreme caution and understanding that I do not mess with my core Tesla shares.
right.
We still add aggressively every single month. Like you know, we're adding a lot every single month. It's just on autopilot, right? It's every month we're adding to it. So that doesn't stop. Everything I'm doing with margin with options
Mhm.
is on the margins, not
Right.
with margin, but on the
Right.
margins.
Yes.
And it's just for fun. It's like $100 here, a couple $100 there. It's nothing that would ever put me into danger. So I only bring this up because I want to caution people that right now you might be getting excited. You might see all your gains. You might be thinking, oh, this is time to, you know, take a really risky call option, but you don't think it's risky because we're going to 300 by August. And let me just be the one to say, whatever you think is going to happen, it'll probably be the opposite that happens. Um, you know, if you think it, you're probably not the only one thinking it. And so, you know, life has a crappy way of showing you that you're wrong and humbling you. So enjoy it. Don't get greedy. Don't get greedy. Don't get greedy. Go watch Wall Street if you need to. Just watch the first bit of the movie. Don't get greedy. Pigs get slaughtered. And then my question for you, Randy, is two actually. When do we get your list so I can see it, review it, so I can make my Tesla Mezcal list? And then two, any good plans for the fourth?
No, you know, we are for a variety of reasons, we've already done our travel. We were, you know, gone for I was gone for 4 weeks on that travel time. So we're just going to be hanging out, just enjoying this beautiful Gulf side condo that we have, and it'll be fine. Yes.
That sounds nice.
How you are in Atlanta, I'm assuming, for the weekend?
I'm on Lake Lanier. Some good, close. I mean, they're such a family, but friends of ours. We used to live next to each other. We both built and we met through the building process, and we've been friends for like 12 years now. And they sold that property and they moved here, and they've been building this house I'm in, which is a crazy modern mansion. And they've been building it for the last 2 years. And so I literally got here, opened my laptop, looked around like, this is ridiculous. I'm so jealous. I'm so happy for you guys. I hate you, but I love you. And I'm happy for you, but I hate you. And, you know, and I was telling them, you know, this is what true friends about, that I'm telling you, I hate you and I'm jealous and I'm so happy for you. Because you know
Right.
what? Now you push me and I push you into this back and forth, and I love it. But yeah, we're gonna be here. We're right on the lake. I mean, it's dark out, but we're literally right on the water.
Nice.
So yeah, just gonna be enjoying it with friends, and we're really family. So yeah, happy to be here.
All right, super, super, super. All right, then I will send you the list. I'll try to remember to send it right after we get done here so that you can take a look at it. But for everybody else, you'll be seeing it in the morning.
Ooh.
Roughly, you know, 10 past 7 is when no, 20 to 8 is when I'm usually publishing now on a daily basis on the After the Bell. So that's when it will be coming up.
After the bell. That's good to know for different time zones. So right after the bell.
Right after, that's right. So
All
it's
right.
40 minutes after the bell. I was doing it 10. No, that's not true. I was publishing 40 minutes after the bell. Now I'm publishing an hour and 10 minutes after the bell.
Okay, that makes sense because sometimes I see you pop up on my YouTube feed and I'm like, damn, how did Randy already get a video out about this? So make sure you're following Randy so that you can stay up to date on some of these things.
That's right. You're absolutely right. 100%. All right. So, Nicholas, thank you so much, as always, for helping us. This certainly qualifies for a good Wednesday for Tesla.
Tuesday.
Tuesday. What's,
It's almost Wednesday
is
for me
Biden,
on the East Coast.
is Biden's problem catching? I hope. Okay, listen to all of you out there. It's been great talking to you on Tuesday.
All right. Peace.